And now, dear participants, the moment we've all been waiting for, to formally open this event, please allow me to introduce Ms. Mags Valdez.
Hi, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Love Revolution 2022. So I am Mags Valdez. I will be your moderator for today. I'd like to say thank you, Angelo, for introducing me and welcoming all our participants from all over the Philippines to Love Revolution 2022. Okay, of course, this conference will not be possible without the collaboration of other students from different organizations. So at this point, I would just like to give a shout out to all the students from PARIF Southridge and PARIF Northfield who helped in organizing this event. This conference was made possible also thanks to the organization of Catalyst of the University of Asia and the Pacific, especially to the Catalyst Core and project heads, Francesca Torres and Mary Baldomar. So thank you to all these young students who made the effort to make this conference possible. I'd also like to say thank you to all of our participants joining us this morning via Zoom and Facebook. Before we begin, I'd like to give you a few reminders. Mr. Jason Evert will be speaking for an hour, followed by a short 5-minute break. After the break, we will be opening the floor for questions. And for those joining us in Zoom, you may send in your questions via direct message to Q&A Elise. So just type in Q&A in the chat box, look for Elise, and she can collect all the questions that you have for Mr. Evert this morning. And for those in Facebook, you may send in your message through the comment section. We do have members from the Catalyst team monitoring that as well. And with Valentine's Day just a few sleeps away, I think you can all agree that the Love Revolution 2022 could not have come at a better time. And we are also fortunate to have Jason Evert here with us this morning to share with us his insights on what it means to truly love. So for those who are listening to Jason for the first time, allow me to give you a brief introduction. Mr. Jason Evert is a world-renowned speaker who has talked to over 1 million people through talks and books about chastity. Jason is a best-selling author of 12 books, including Theology of the Body for Teens, Pure Faith, a prayer book for teens, Raising Pure Teens, and How to Find Your Soulmate Without Losing Your Soul. He is also the founder of Totus Tuus Press, an organization that promotes chastity primarily to high school and college students. He earned his master's degree in theology, as well as an undergraduate degree in counseling and theology from the Franciscan University of Steubenville. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with tremendous pleasure that I introduce to you Mr. Jason Evert. Hi, Jason.
Hey, how are you?
Good, thanks. We're very excited to have you here with us. And I know all the kids are raring to hear from you. So without further ado, I turn over the floor to you.
All right. Well, maraming salamat. Kumusta na kayo? It is a blessing to be with all of you guys today. It's been a couple of years since I've been able to come to the Philippines, but I've been there, I think, 5 times now. Absolutely love it. And I can't wait till all this COVID stuff, God willing, clears over so we can head back over there. Again, we've been to Iloilo, we've been to Quezon City, to Manila, all over the place. Just love the culture, love the food, love the people. So it's a joy at least to be with you virtually. So let's start our time together in prayer in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Jesus, tonight, this morning, we pray for the gift of purity so that we can be free to love. And we entrust our time together to Our Lady as we pray, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Saint Joseph, pray for us. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Well, again, thank you guys for joining us today. This Real Love Revolution. I know when it comes to dating and relationships today, it's pretty confusing. To me, it seems like we kind of have a culture right now of single people who pretend like they're dating. Then we have a culture of dating people who kind of behave like they're married. And then we're kind of stuck with the culture of married people who seem to think they're single. everything just kind of seems like it's out of order. And I know with relationships, most of you right now on this call, most of you probably not in a relationship right now. Most of you probably don't have a boyfriend, girlfriend. I say good for you. Don't be like me. I started dating when I was like 12 years old. One girl back then actually broke up with me because I forgot that I was dating her. I was like, oh, high maintenance, but you're under like all this pressure. Like you don't have a boyfriend. You don't have a girlfriend. Like you've never kissed anyone before. What's wrong with you? You're 9 years old. Like, what are you waiting for? It's ridiculous. I mean, over here in the States, this guy came up to me, he was 12 years old. He said, I got a relationship problem. Can you help? I said, what's going on? He said, well, I dated a girl for 3 years and it was pretty serious. And then I took a year off and now I like a girl she's friends with. So I don't know what to do. Here, let's see here. They're playing audio.
There
we
we're
go.
So happy to see you. Welcome.
Hi, guys. So yeah, my normal camera setup looks a lot better than this. You don't see the lights and all that stuff, but hey, well, thank you guys. It's good to see you, or at least have you see me here. So sorry for the little clunky intro, but I'm not sure exactly where we left off, but I think it was just on the idea that there's so much, just a ridiculous amount of pressure to date right now. It's just kind of out of control. Not only pressure to get in the relationship, but when you're in the relationship, just this pressure to go further and further. And I remember feeling that pressure when I was in high school. I was with this girl, and it kind of came to the point and had to ask myself, well, should I give this girl my virginity? And I thought, well, I've already known her. I've already known her for 3 days. But I could kind of hear this voice in me that just said, Jason, like, this gift is not for her. It's for me. Please wait for me. And we cooled things down. I was able to hold on to my virginity. And like, I know some of you watching may be virgins, some not virgins. Frankly, I don't care what's happened in the past. I mean, I care. If you're a virgin, I say good for you. I have right here, this is considered to be the most comprehensive sex research ever done. It's about 700 pages. And what they found here, this is page 503, is that people who get married as virgins have a divorce rate that's about 70% lower than those who won't wait for marriage. Now, some people think, well, that's great, but look, I'm not a virgin, or I had my virginity taken from me. Does that mean I'll have a messed up marriage? I mean, if you're like me, you're really sick of all the divorce that's going on. I was at one high school and a boy came up after. He said, Jason, I know what you mean about divorce. He said, Jason, my dad is on his 9th marriage. The boy was 16. He's watched his dad get 8 divorces. Nobody on the call today wants to get a divorce, but like, do you really have a plan to avoid that? And this is the basic plan that I'd recommend. Just one basic idea. And that's, if you hope to get married one day, that means that you want to promise somebody that I'm going to love you and honor you all the days of my life. Okay. Today is the day of your life. Are you willing to love and honor that person before you meet them? And what I mean is this: biggest question I always get is, how far can you go? And I think there's an easy way to answer that. We were at a high school in Chicago. It was an all boys high school, 800 boys. After the talk, a guy came up. He said, Jason, okay, your talk was fun, but can we get specific? And I said, sure. He said, I want to know exactly how far I can go with my girlfriend. And I said, that's a fair question. What do you want to do with her? He was like, oh, great. And I said, okay, we're not, grade 3. We can be mature, specific. What do you want to do? And he's like, well, can we do this and this and this? And he went through a whole list of sexual things. And I said, that's charming. Slow down, pick one. And he said, okay, can we do this? I said, look, I'm going to have you answer your own question. Do you want to get married one day? He said, yeah, I'll get married. I said, if you're going to get married, that means your future wife, she's out there somewhere right now, isn't she? For the first time ever, he thought about his future bride. And he said, yeah, she is out there. Cool. I go, but let's say she doesn't live here in Chicago. Let's say she's wrong from California. School's getting out right now. She's coming home from class with her boyfriend, who's the guy that you're never going to meet. And he's got his arm around your future wife. And he's saying, baby girl, you feeling fine? Because you looking fine. And she's like, oh, you're so sweet. Stop. And he takes her home to the couch, and tries this with it. And I said to the guy, you know what's going on there on that couch, don't you? He said, yeah. I said, that guy is trying to trick your future wife and doing some sexual thing with him, trying to make her think that if she gives him that, he'll like her more, when he's just using her more. I go, does that bug you? And he's like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, you don't know? That guy doing that with your future wife doesn't bother you? He's like, well, the guy next to him in class is like, I'd be ticked off. And he smacked him in the head. I said, look, if you don't want someone else doing that with the person you're going to marry, set the same standard for yourself. And this is not like some condemnation to any of us. This is a calling to real love. because I'm not going to stand for the guys on the call today and say, you have to be like me, because that's a joke. I mean, you're a guy, I'm a guy, we're the same. Every guy is tempted to lust, but then there's this deeper desire to sacrificial love. And there's a tension going on. What I want you girls to realize, the guys you're sitting next to every day in class, we've been lied to about what it means to be a man. I mean, we're supposed to learn about manhood from our dads, but I mean, girls, if you think about it, like some guys haven't even seen our dads since we were 3. Even if we have great dads, you still get lied to about manhood everywhere else, being told if you want to be a man today, you got to get some of the girls. Because if you get some of the girls, you're the man. Everything's about sex. The basic message is, look, if you're still a virgin, something's wrong with you. And if you're not a virgin, it's too late for you. This is all you as a guy ever really hear. And it gets old because even as guys, like, we want love, but sometimes we don't know how to find it. But God offers it. In the Bible is one passage guys have to know to love the girls. Ephesians 5, St. Paul says the guys, husbands, love your wife like Christ loved the church, giving himself up for her so she be holy. To do this, the Gospel of Luke said Jesus was praying in the agony in the garden. And it said his sweat became like drops of blood and fell on the ground. Now, some of you will become doctors. You'll learn about this. It's called hematidrosis, which means under extreme stress, capillaries in the skin can rise up, burst, and you bleed from the pores of your skin. Your whole body becomes bruised, and they'd scourge them on this. Scourging means they strip you naked, wrap your arms around a pillar, and they'd come up to them with whips. At the end of the whips are fishing hooks, fishing weights, piece of glass and metal, torture him, he's almost dead, beat the crown of thorns into his head, carries the cross about 600 yards, they strip him naked, piercing him probably through the wrists, and for hours he hangs there to give himself up for his bride, the church, us. And then St. Paul says, you guys want to get married one day? Be ready to love a woman just like that. And when guys hear that, it's like, they'd crucify myself for some girl. How do you do that? I think it begins by not sacrificing girls for the sake of ourselves, which is what I picked up in high school, because the influence for me then of the pornography. And I think porn is the best way to just shoot your future marriage in the head, teaching me that you girls are things to be used, and when I get bored of you, we'll go to the next fantasy. High school, we'd laugh it off. Like, I'm not getting anyone pregnant. We're just appreciating women. We'd laugh it off. And porn was everywhere. Your buddies had it. Your friends had it. First porn I ever saw, I was like in 2nd grade. I mean, we're riding our bikes around the neighborhood and found some dirty magazine in the street. Like, what's that? I'm like, oh, nice to meet you. Like, what do we do with it? My friend said, let's keep it. I'm like, yeah, where do we put it? He said, let's put it at your house. I said, that's a good idea. So ride the bikes to my house, and we get there. And I'm like, well, what are we going to do? I don't want to put it inside. I don't want to get busted. It's strange. Like, I had never seen porn before, but I just knew something was wrong. So I said, I know what to do. So we ripped out all our favorite pictures, crumpled them up little balls, and then we shoved them into bushes in front of the house. We'd come outside and look at them when we wanted. Now, the problem is my dad trimmed the hedges Saturday afternoon, found porn growing on the plants out front. So I got busted by the porn plant. But, like, we got back into it, and we'd laugh it off. And I know right now, there's some guys on the call right now watching this thinking, I got some stuff on my phone. I'm not addicted. No one's getting hurt. Not a big problem. But when a guy desperately tries convincing himself that porn is not a problem, what happens is that the boy gets emasculated. Emasculation means that a young guy is just robbed of the ability to be masculine. Because if you look at a crucifix, there's masculinity. Lover who empties himself for the beloved. Porn flips it backwards, and guys learn to empty ladies for the sake of ourselves. We miss the whole point where God made us men, and we didn't even know what we're looking at in the porn. I mean, because when you're looking at porn, you're not looking at a naked body. You're looking at somebody's daughter who's probably sexually abused as a little girl, but we just laugh it all off and call ourselves gentlemen for enjoying it. Some of the girls in porn aren't even alive. Porn stars have a huge mortality rate. Deaths by drug overdose, murder, suicide. I mean, you could be lusting after a girl who's in her grave right now. I mean, some of the girls in porn aren't even human beings. Like, one porn magazine I read about, they've paid computer companies more than $20,000 a piece to create fake women. Not airbrushed, she's fake. Legs, eyes, everything on the woman created computer. She doesn't exist. They've used fake girls for their cover models. But scientists have found that if a guy gets hooked on internet porn, swimsuit magazines for years, you'll actually sculpt the structure of your brain to expect every woman to live up to this fantasy of a disposable supermodel. Because you think about it, after years of looking at porn, I mean, in one afternoon of looking at porn, a guy could see more perfect women's bodies than any man in history could have ever seen in hundreds of lifetimes. And you get it in one afternoon with no effort, well, he's back the next day, back the next week. You do it for a couple of years, then you kind of jump into marriage, think you're going to be captivated by one till death do you part. It doesn't happen. My buddy in college had all the porn. He figured, I'll throw it away before I get married. I went to his wedding, beautiful wedding, divorced in 3 months. All he did was take all the lust he had for porn, look at his bride that way. The marriage is over as soon as it started. One high school girl I know, she said, Jason, I found out my dad looks at porn. She said, I used to look up to him. Now I can't even look at him. Thought he was a better man than that. She's like, Jason, my dad is lusting after girls who are 2 years older than I am, while my mom's sleeping in the next room. Then he erases his internet history, thinks we don't know, kisses my mom and goes to work the next day. She said, it makes me sick how much I resent that guy. Every guy on this call knows right now, that is not the husband I want to be. That's not the father I want to be. I'm not going to be some 30-year-old dad who's got to slap my laptop shut when my 5-year-old daughter comes in my room because she can't see what dad's seeing. It's not the father I want to be. That's why if you trash the porn today forever, you are being faithful to your brides before you ever lay eyes upon her. And unfortunately, there's a big myth right now that porn is a guy problem. Girls, no, girls would never look at that. Girls struggle with modesty and emotional issues, but never porn. It's not true. I know a girl who struggled with porn for years. She said, Jason, you know, when you're a guy who looks at porn, she said, they all know they're into it. It's like they're in this big prison together. Oh, we're all stuck in porn. One day we'll break out. But she said, when you're the girl who looks at it, she said, yeah, it feels like prison, but it feels like solitary confinement because you think you're the only woman there. But the fact is, lust is not a guy problem. It's a human problem. A lot of girls get exposed to this stuff early. I don't know if you saw, you're probably familiar with Billie Eilish, big pop singer out here in the States. She was on a talk show recently, and she opened up about the fact that Billie Eilish, was exposed to pornography when she was 11 years old. And here's what she says. I think it really destroyed my brain. I feel incredibly devastated that I was exposed to so much porn. She said, I got sleep paralysis, nightmares, night terrors. But she said, I thought that that's what I was supposed to be attracted to. And then she got in dating relationships, and she said, I was not saying no to the things I should have said no to. She said, I'm just so angry that porn is so loved. And I'm so angry at myself for thinking that it was okay. A lot of girls start looking at it out of curiosity. What do I need to look like? What do I need to do? Who do I need to be? But like women, you were never created to be porn. You were created to be loved. And if we can just get rid of that junk, we can be free to love. And I don't think you boys are the problem. Don't get me wrong. I think teenage boys, the solution to the problem. I got research back me up. You ever think, I mean, I don't know your perception of America is in terms of teenagers, but people think, oh, the kids are sexually active. Well, here's what's been going on the last 30 years. The government's been tracking this for 30 years, since 1991 to the present year. What they found is teen sexual activity in the last 30 years. The rates of sexual activity have been constantly going down. Last summer is the lowest they've ever recorded so far. 27% are currently sexually active. 38% have ever had sex. Most high school students in the country here are virgins. This came out 15 years of research. High school boys' sexual activity is now going down twice as fast as the girls. And people hear that. They're like, what? That can't be true. That wasn't on Snapchat. Are you sure that's a reliable source you have? But the change is going on. It's happened with the girls. In fact, they found 2 out of 3 high school students who have had sex, get this, privately, admit they wish they waited longer. It was kind of a disappointment. People are starting over. It's happened to the girls. This came out a while ago. Vogue magazine says naughty versus nice, why showing skin is no longer in. It's this big fashion article showing how modesty is making a comeback. And I'll admit, as a guy, I don't know the pressure you girls are under to look perfect, eat perfect. My wife was at a toy store. She saw a Barbie doll they came out with. She's like, ugh, I have to show that to Jason. So she bought me a Barbie doll. This is what they're giving little girls to play with now. Look at this. She got fishnet stockings, short skirt, strapless top. I don't even girls call these tops. What is this, like a napkin top for you or something? You know, and people complained about, oh, Barbie's too skinny. It's not realistic. So what did the toy company do? They made her skinnier. This is what they're giving the girls to play with now. Look at this. This is wrong. Like, I'm not some dietitian, but I know something's missing from your diet if your arms come off like that. You know, and girls, you've been told since you've been wearing diapers, behold womanhood. you too can be a woman. Okay, so for dinner tonight, you can have a grain of rice. For dessert, you can have an ice cube. Not too many to go to your hips, but as long as you girls look like this, you're going to be loved. And you know it's a joke. You understand this is fake. Like, but I'm telling you, you don't understand. It's all fake. One supermodel out here, makeup company, thought she was too fat for them. So the computers, they made her arms skinny in their advertisements. Real womanhood is not shown to you. What's shown to you is beer commercials telling you that your body is disgusting. Hate your body, hate yourself. And a girl's desire just look pretty. You look at some magazine, you think, well, I look like her. I'm sure I'd be loved too. Girls, think about it. The women in the world who have the most perfect bodies, do they have the most perfect loving relationships in their lives? Nope. They often have the most dysfunctional ones. Think of the people you know who have the most perfect love. Do they have perfect bodies? No. They're like 80 years old, overweight, and wrinkly, but they have love because the perfect body doesn't get you perfect love. But you see the image and you think, well, I look like that, I'd be loved. Sounds like it makes sense. What happens is this: girls, look, we love you, but we're different than you when it comes to sexuality. We get seduced differently. I think a lot of girls today are getting seduced to their ears, like a boy gets seduced to his eyes. Girls often get seduced by what they hear a boy telling them. Like, oh, baby, I've never felt this way about a girl before. Oh, really? That doesn't work with the guys. We get seduced through the eyes because the way you look at it, girls, we just get seduced differently. And if it's a sexual value of a woman that brings me to her, what do the guys want to get to know about her? Her intelligence, personality? He wants to get to know the body. If she gives him access to the body, thinking this will make him like me more, usually what happens is a guy gets bored and he loses respect and he moves on. And she's left there thinking, well, maybe if I was skinnier, he would have liked me more. Maybe if I just did more with him sexually, he would have stayed longer. But look, ladies, what you win a man with is what you keep him with, all right? If you win him with pleasure, then you have to keep him with pleasure. But here's the problem, that he can get pleasure anywhere. He can get it off the internet. He can get it from another girl. It's a repeatable asset. If you win him with your body, then you have to keep him with your body. But here's the problem. Every woman has a body. I can't even remember the last woman I met who did not have a body. Okay, it's a repeatable thing. But if you win him with who you are as a person, the relationship is far more likely to go the distance. And I know with modesty, and pressure is going both ways. With modesty, I'm not saying, girls, I want you to look dumpy. I don't want you to show up at some fancy dance, best dressed up in a big moo-moo, you know, and some boy you like sees you and he's like, oh, modesty. Wow, you know, you look ravishing in your potato sack tonight. Stay home. No, you don't have to look frumpy, okay? Just look classy. Take the beauty of being a woman, use it. Teach the boys about your dignity. Because look, I didn't know how to treat a girl until I dated one in college who dressed modestly. And it was captivating. She could have dressed like, hey, boys, check this out. But the way she dressed is like she's saying, boys, frankly, I'm worth waiting to see. And you will not lift the veil over this body until you lift the veil over my face. I'm telling you, respecting that girl is automatic. Now, you deserve respect no matter what you choose to wear, but you have a God-given power, not only to turn the guy's head, you have the power to change his heart. I remember speaking at a high school in Louisiana. Picture this, because the way I look at it is you're not going to convince a boy of your dignity until you first convince yourself. Here's the proof. We're at a high school, 1,400 girls in the audience, not a single boy. I said, girls, boys aren't here. Just be honest. How many of you girls actually think that if you met a guy today who had self-control, he's a gentleman, pure in the way he talked about girls and treats them, how many think finding that virtue of chastity in a guy today, that would make him undeniably more attractive to you? 1,400 girls put their hands up. And I said, cool. Then I went next door to the all-guys school, 1,200 boys. I told the fellas what the girls said. One guy put his hand up. He said, Jason, I don't believe you. I said, no, I'm serious. I promise. All the girls have their hands up. He said, no, I believe you. He said, what I'm trying to say is, like, we don't believe them. I'm like, why not? And he's like, dude, you're telling us they want us to be all innocent and pure, but they're going to dress like that at our dances? They're going to dance like that at our dances? You're telling me she wants me to treat her like a princess, but they're going to act like that on the weekends? He's like, we don't take them seriously. They don't take themselves seriously. And look, I'll grant you girls, it's hard to find modest outfits. You go to buy some fancy dress, everything they sell you now is like low cut, bare belly, bare back, some slit up to your armpit. Like, I know it isn't easy, but y'all girls aren't helpless. And girls think, but Jason, if you can't be sexy, how do you get a boy's attention? Can you flirt? It depends. Like, flirting means different things. Flirting for me, when I was in like second grade, if I liked the girl, just throw a rock at her. You know, it's like, oh, she's hot. You know, now she likes me. She has a concussion. It's her problem. But, you know, girls are different. Girls flirt like this. When you girls were like in grade 4, that's like, I don't know, 9 years old, this is how you'd flirt. You'd see the cute guy. Oh, he's so cute. And you get in a huddle with your girlfriends. It's like a team effort. It's like, he's cute. What should we do? And they all start plotting together, right? The first girl's like, let's give him a note. Oh, that's brilliant. You know, do you like my friend LaFonda? You know, yes, no, or maybe. It's like a survey. He's got to check the box and you commit. Then what happens? Girls got like 6th grade, get more sophisticated, see the cute guy. Oh, he's cute. What should we do? Your friend's like, I know. How about when he's leaving class? I'll shove you into him. Oh, that's good. Shove me into him. Yes, yes, yes. And the reason girls think this is funny is because this is what they talk about when they go to public bathrooms, like 30 of them at a time to the bathroom. They have couches in there. I was at a concert once. I saw 4 girls come out of one like porta potty. I mean, like that's not even sanitary, but got to do what you got to do. You know, but then what happens? Girls get 8th grade high school. Basically, as soon as you become a woman, the world will tell you, ladies, look, now that you become a woman, you got something the boys like now better than your old notes and games. You've got your body. You can give it to guys gonna like you more. Now, girls, they kind of begin with this idea. Okay, let me get this straight. So long as I'm technically not having sex with him, I'm being good. So hooking up and making out, that's not a big deal. Doing this with a guy, as long as I love him, it's not a big deal. Sending him a picture, well, that's not a big deal. Why? Well, because those other girls are worse than I am. And when it's all said and done, the girl convinces herself this priceless gift of her body, not a big deal. Something starts to die in the girl. She can go from boy to boy to boy. She never sits still. By the time she gets to college, man, she got no clue who she is. She defined her whole identity by the boy she's clinging to. And she thinks she's in love with him. But she's probably in love with the fact that he wants her when she doesn't even want herself half the time. But she's afraid of being alone, and she just settles for stuff now. Hooking up, just something just dies in her. It's like I read about a guy sleeping, his dog's barking. Guy came in the backyard, his dog's barking in a bush. And the guy's like, okay, it's a bush. Shut up, go to bed. Goes to sleep. 2:30, the dog starts barking. Guy came in the backyard with a stick. Come here, pooch. Smack. Beat the dog into submission. Back to sleep. 2:45, the dog starts freaking out. The guy threw a fit, cocked the gun, came in the backyard, apparently shot and killed the dog in the backyard and went peacefully to sleep. But then what happened is the robber who's hiding in the bushes got out of the bushes, walked over the body of the dead dog, came inside the guy's house, apparently killed him in his sleep and robbed everything that he owned. And that dog is like our conscience that tells us right from wrong. And I've said to my conscience, dude, shut up. Don't somebody should be looking at that. Don't somebody should be doing that with it. Dude, shut up. I'd kill the voice and I'd do it anyway. And I think I'm free. I'm not doing what my mom wants. I'm not doing the church wants. I'm free. But then I always think afterwards, yeah, if I'm so free, how come I'm empty afterwards? If I'm so free, how come I can't look her dad in the eyes whenever I go over her house? That's freedom. And it leads to the point where a girl will think, Jason, you got cute stories, but you don't get it. Like, look, Jason, I'm not a virgin. Or I had my virginity taken from me. Or something bad happened to me when I was a little girl. And what good guy like you're all talking about is if I know any would even want a girl like me, it's been through what I've been through. Jason, I am damaged goods. It's too late. Once it's gone, it's gone. Okay. I'll tell you one girl I know about. She's a little girl raised in a broken family. Her dad picked up, divorced. I don't know. She's like, little girl, dad's gone. And he was one of these guys, I don't know, he's kind of like male enough to get a girl pregnant, but not man enough to be a daddy. So she's raised with no father. She gets to high school. She doesn't know how gentlemen treat a lady. And this football player asks her out. She's thrilled. They start dating. And he says to her, honey, I've never felt this way about a girl before. I love you. And for her, those words were magic. Like she never heard that at home. And she said, oh, I love you too. He said, if you love me, show me. She knew what that meant. So she went to her girlfriends. She said, he wants to start doing this and that with me. What do you guys think? And they said, well, you like him, right? She said, well, yeah, I like him. Then they said, that's not a big deal. Everybody's doing it. Don't be a prude. As long as you feel ready, get it over with. So she figured, yeah, not a big deal. And at the age of 15, she lost her virginity thinking they'd be forever in love. She said, in all actuality, all respect was thrown out the window because she said after a while, it's like he didn't want to spend time with me anymore. He was basically spending the time with my body. Because when a girl's getting used, dude, she knows it. She tries to distract herself, ignore it, but she knows it. There's no peace. He lost respect for her. They started fighting more because whenever they're together, it's like that's all he wanted. And she'd give him sex for the sake of feeling loved, and he would just give her love for the sake of getting sex. Eventually, they broke up. And she said, I will never forget the day he walked away for the last time. She said, all I could think is that guy's leaving with something that never belonged to him, and now I'm never going to get it back. I'm not a virgin anymore. What's the whole point of waiting for marriage, too late for me. Start a cycle, these relationships. She got to be about 17 years old, biggest stud at school last round, captain of the basketball, football teams. And he said, I've never felt this way about a girl before. I love you. She's like, I love you too. He said, if you love me, you'll show me. So she goes back to girlfriends. She said, now he wants to start doing it. What do you guys think? And he said, look, let's set standards. Let's not sleep with our boyfriends for 6 months. If he can hold out without it for that long, then I know he loves me, and then we'll sleep together. And now she looks back and thinks, 6 months? Like 6 months is the price that I put on my body. 6 months of his time, attention, phone calls, like that's love. So he held out for 6 months, and they started really sleeping together. He really lost respect for her, started cheating on her, abusing her, physically abusing her, emotionally abusing her, telling girl, you're so fat and stupid and ugly. Yeah, fat and ugly. Girl's a kickboxer, voted the prettiest girl in the high school of 3,000 students, but he had her convinced she was fat and ugly. She was miserable. She said, those Saturday nights, all my friends would say is, oh, it's all fun and games. But she said, you wake up the next morning, the fun and games are over. I woke up hating myself. She said, I'd sit in my bathroom, flipping over my pregnancy test, scared to death. But then I go to school that week with the biggest mask on my face. I'm so happy with my life. Put a mask on for my parents, one for social media, one for the boys, one for church, one for my parents. But I didn't know any way out. Her mom found her birth control pills, said, you're going to Chastity talk. She said, nope, I'm not going to your dumb thing. I heard those before. Mom said, I don't care, you're going. Forces her. Now, I don't know who gave her the talk, wasn't me. But she said, that guy got up there, and the 1 hour I sat still, everything changed. She said the guy was honest, blunt, and real. And he didn't judge any of us. But she said it felt like he took my hand out of the audience and he walked through my whole life with me. He had done all the stuff that I had done, all sex, smoking, drinking. But she said he just had something I didn't have, and I wanted it back. He wasn't ashamed of himself. He had a backbone. I wanted that. So after the talk, she went up to him and took his advice. Hey, start over. She went to the sacrament of reconciliation, got a clean soul. And then she wrote a list, 60 things she dreamed of in a future husband, but never again would she settle for less. And that weekend, the guys called her up. Hey, girl, want to hook up? We're going to this guy's house. She wasn't stupid. She knew what they wanted. So for the first time ever, she said no. And she stayed home a little lonely, where she wrote her first love letter to her future husband. I said no to them tonight out of love for you. I'm respecting my body tonight out of respect for you. And I can't wait for the day we're going to meet. With all my hopes and prayers and dreams, she signs it. Next weekend, they called her back. Hey, girl, where you been? You trying to be too good for us? They tried to make her feel guilty for taking care of herself for once. She turned around again, another love letter. Every time she was tempted to go back that life, she'd read the old letters and write a new one. And she got stronger. Stack of letters got thicker and thicker and thicker. Now, why do you think I know all this stuff about the girl? Because she's the girl who gave me every single one of those letters on our honeymoon when I married her. This girl's my wife, my bride, the mother of our 8 kids. Could you imagine how grateful I am she started waiting for me? What if she heard that talk in high school and blew it off? Chastity, psh, too late for me. Do you think I ever would have met her? Do you think our marriage would exist? Do you think our family would exist? Everything depended on the decision she made back in high school to turn things around. And so it was cool. When we found out that we were pregnant, like specifically her, you go to the doctor, see what do it on the TV screen. First one's baby's tall as a grain of rice, and you could watch his heart beating. It was awesome. Most of the ultrasounds, you can't see that good. I'm like, is that his head? They're like, that's his butt. I'm like, oh, his dad. But now they got these high-tech ultrasounds called 4D. They can zoom in on your kid's face in color, live 3D videos. They have videos now of kids who appear to be laughing at something in their mother's wombs. So we got one of our boy, Colby, is old tiny, as tall as your cell phone. Then you zoom in on that little face. This is what he looked like taking a nap in my wife's womb 5 months before he was even born. It's like, do you get the point? Like, my boy is alive today because of a brave decision my wife made back in high school to turn things around. And when we got married, yes, I was a virgin when we got married. And you couldn't have paid me all the money in the world to give it to anyone but my bride. She was not a virgin, but she was worth waiting for, and she knew it. I would have waited for her till I was 50. She started over. In a lot of ways, I did too. We don't want to end up getting divorced, so we do things that will decrease your divorce rate. First thing, we didn't live together before we get married. Everybody's doing that now. You cohabit, you shack up, you move in together, then you get married. How are those marriages doing? Higher divorce rate. Then why do they do it? They say, we need to see if we're compatible with each other. Trust me, if you're a guy and she's a girl, you are not compatible. You'll figure that out real fast in marriage, because girls are weird and guys are entirely normal. And that's obvious, but the fact is, where does the word compatible come from? Latin, compati, which means to suffer with. Lasting marriages are not because you just like fit perfectly. They're because you show up and you fight for your marriage when things get tough. And I mean, girls, think about it. Living with a guy who's not your husband's crazy. Because think about it. You go on one date with a guy and he's a jerk. Breaking up is easy. It's one date. Okay, date a guy for 6 months and break up. Okay, it's harder. Now you sleep with him. Now you move in with him. And then you realize he's not the one for you. Imagine how hard it would be to let go when you've invested that much. Girls don't want to. They just want to stay put and fix the guy, but the relationship is done before it begins. And her girlfriends tell her, can't you see he's got problems? And she's like, well, I know he's made some bad decisions and he's a convicted felon and everything, but he's got a good heart inside. It's like, dude, don't date your imagination. Never move forward in a relationship hoping the person is going to change. Only commit to somebody and move deeper in the relationship if you're content with them 100% the way they are. Otherwise, you're not dating a person, you're dating a project. You're not dating reality, you're dating your imagination. So first thing, we didn't live together. Second thing, we didn't sleep together before we got married. If I had sex with Kristalina before marriage, I mean, I'd be lying to her. Yeah, my body would be saying one thing. I give myself totally to you. I'm all yours. But if I'm not her husband, the embrace of sex is a lie. And some guys will say to me, but what if I really care about this girl? We both talk better. We both feel ready. How come you can't sleep with her if you really love her? Really love her. What's it mean to love her? Do what's best for her. Really? Best for her to wake up tomorrow? Am I pregnant? Is my mom going to find out? I spoke at a high school once. They had 87 girls pregnant on campus. This did not include the junior high. Brought the number of pregnancies over 100. But here's the question. How many pregnancies do you think that school would have if it were the boys who could get pregnant? Girls, wouldn't it be fun just for 1 month of each year if boys could get pregnant? Let's say February is now male fertility month. I mean, what would happen? Guys would be like, oh, it is National Abstinence Awareness Month this month. I've got my pledge card, the purity ring. Everything would be different. Dates would be different. Imagine some football player with a girlfriend and she starts flirting about sex. He'd be like, I'm not ready for sex. Coach would kill me if I got pregnant on the football team next year. I can't run for touchdowns like that. That's not going to work. But he'll let her take the risk any night of the week as long as it's her future, not his. And some guys will tell me, oh, but I'm telling you, I really love this girl I'm sleeping with. If a guy really loves a girl he's sleeping with, how come if they're in bed together at her house and her dad comes home, the guy will jump out of like a 5-story window rather than face the dad? If you really love the girl, I mean, think about it. Why would he even hide from the man who loves her the most? Because he knows in the depths of his heart that this has nothing to do with love and sacrifice. It's about lust and pleasure. If it were about love, he'd be proud to show the father how he loves the daughter. This happened to my friend John in high school. He's over at my friend Michelle's house. They weren't even supposed to be seeing each other. Her dad is supposed to be at work. He came home, saw John's car out front, boom, bust the door down. They hear him coming upstairs. My friend John's freaking out because he's trapped. There's nowhere to go. He's like, Michelle, where can I hide? In the closet, the desk, in the microwave. We're going to fit. Nowhere to go. He looks, Michelle's bed is like 6 inches off the ground. So it's like, honey, I'm going under there. He dives under the bed and wiggles under the mattress. He's like, the bed's like moving up and down in his chest. Dad breaks the door down. Boom. Where's John? Michelle's like, John who? It's like, sweetheart, the bed's levitating behind you. There's a clue. Dad comes up with the bed, looks underneath. Yeah, my friend John is on the floor in the corner, shivering like a rat under the bed. Like, what is he doing there? I mean, if he really loves this girl, like I said, why would he hide from the man who loves her the most? Because he knows this isn't love. Why is the dad so uptight and protective? Because he knows sex is sexist. Girls always pay the biggest price. I mean, look at this. They studied here. When a girl starts having sex, what happens in her life? Study girls from the ages of 12 to 26. They found if a girl starts having sex when she's 12, those girls on average go on to sleep with about 21 different men in their lifetime. Start having sex at 13 or 14, they'll average 14 lifetime sexual partners. Start having sex at 15, 16, you'll average 8 partners. Numbers go down according to how long you wait. But the sooner the girl starts, unless she starts over, she becomes more likely to have more breakups, STDs, out of wedlock pregnancy, become a single mom, live under the poverty level, have a divorce, have an abortion, be depressed, on and on. The longer the girl waits for sex, the happier her life will be. Now, this does not mean if you're not a virgin, you have a terrible life. All this means is how could a boy look at this and say, oh, but I love girls so much, I can do this to them. You know, with Crystal and I, this is not why we save sex for marriage. Do you think we practice chastity because of this? It's like, well, honey, I'm afraid of increasing your rates of living under the poverty level, honey. We can't do that tonight. No, the reason we waited is simple. It's because I love her. And love can wait to give, but lust can't wait to get. If you're sexually active right now or doing sexual stuff, take it out. You'll see if it's real love. We did a big public high school, 1,000 freshmen, 1,000 sophomores, like 1,000 14-year-olds, 1,000 15-year-olds. After the talk, this 17-year-old guy runs in the gym and he's all ticked off. He's like, dude, who told my girlfriend all about chastity? And I was like, me. He's like, man, I go, what's the matter? Turns out he's a senior and his girlfriend is a freshman. He was one of these older guys who doesn't have enough social skills to date a girl his own age, so he tries to get with the young ones. And I said, what's the matter? And he said, well, I just saw my girlfriend after the talk. She looked all happy and now she won't sleep with me anymore. I want to find out what happened to her. I said, you could sleep with her again one day, marry her. And he was like, oh. I go, isn't she worth waiting for? He said, no. It's the love test. If you want to know if a boy really loves you, here's your chance to find out. And some guys will say, but girl, if you love me, if you really love me, you'd give it to me if you love me. Girl, if he loved you, he wouldn't be asking for it in the first place. If you love him, you can't give him whatever he wants because you're afraid he'll get it from another girl instead. That is not love. It's insecurity. Love doesn't give just people whatever they want. It's like I came downstairs looking for my kids once. Guys, where are you? Silence. Like, come on, it's not funny. John Paul, Colby, Mary, where are you? Now, when my kids are quiet, it means they're either sleeping or doing something illegal. Those are the only options you have on the table. I know they're up no good. I look in the kitchen. Freezer's open. There's a gallon of ice cream missing from the freezer. I'm like, I know who that is, Colby. I'm like, Colby. I go in the kids' playroom. I look under the slide. There's a little cave. Dude, sure enough, there he is. He's completely naked, eating the gallon of ice cream out of his lap. I'm like, El Gordo, give it to me. He's like, oh, here comes Dad. I grab his fat little ankles. I'm dragging on his butt on the floor. He's still scooping it in, sliding on the floor. I pull it away from him. I'm like, give it to me. He pulls it back. He's like, you don't love me. I'm like, I don't love you? I'm like, dude, you're lactose intolerant. I'm like, you'd be on the toilet for a week if I let you eat all that. Of course, I love you. And it's because I love you. You can't have whatever feels good. It's not good for you. It's the same principle by an abstinence, love. Why do you think I waited 27 years for my wife? Love. You think I waited for her because like we're afraid of sex? Can't have sex. We're gonna get pregnant, die of an STD and go to hell. Can't do that. Look, it's not about obeying a bunch of rules so you don't go to hell. It's about wanting heaven for the person that you love. And that's the second thing we did for saved for marriage, for solid marriage. Didn't live together, didn't sleep together. Third thing for solid marriage, one of the beauties of self-control, you don't have to worry about birth control. Even in marriage, no way on earth would I put my wife's body on that junk. How disrespectful. What's her fertility? Some kind of disease? Yeah, let me give my wife some pills to make her available to me. That's a little messed up, don't you think? I mean, girls aren't told the truth about birth control. Doctors never say, here's your birth control pills. Oh, did we forget to tell you? That'll increase your risk of getting breast cancer. Some doctors are like, oh, that's not true. That's interesting. The companies who make the birth control pill admit the link to breast cancer, but they don't tell the girls that. So if you don't want the birth control pill, we'll give you the birth control shot. Oh, great, birth control shot. In America, veterinarians don't even give it to dogs anymore. It's not even safe enough for our house pets, let alone human beings. And they said, well, if you don't want the shot, we can give you the implant, we can give you the patch. How about you read the side effects on these? This one, Implanon for the girls. Fine print here, got to read real close. Ladies on Implanon, call your doctor right away. If you start coughing up blood, you go completely blind or unconscious. It's like, how's she supposed to make the phone calls? Like, has anyone seen my cell phone around here? Really, coughing up blood. What was so wrong with her fertility to begin with? Your fertility is a gift. It's not some kind of disease. I asked a bunch of high school guys once, hey guys, what is the most common sexually transmitted disease? One guy said, ooh, I know, pregnancy. I'm like, no, I'm like, kids are not bacteria, okay? Fatherhood is a gift. And with Crystal and I, if we want to plan how many kids we have, we listen to the church. We use natural family planning, 99% effective with no side effects. There's wisdom in the church. And some people are like, well, yeah, well, you got 8 kids. Obviously it doesn't work. Obviously it does work because it keeps your hearts open to the will of God, and your marriage will never give you more than you can handle. And what a blessing the kids are. What a joy. There's no greater joy in my life than the blessing that the kids are. And NFP keeps your heart and your soul open to the fact that children are the supreme gift of marriage. And people say, well, we're not married, so we got to protect ourselves. Be responsible, safe sex. Safe sex is not safe. Most common sexually transmitted disease has killed more girls than AIDS has because it can cause cervical cancer, but they don't want to talk about it because safe sex is not effective in stopping it. It's called HPV, human papilloma virus. How many people here in the States have this thing? It's hard to even believe. College girls in America, every other girl in college in America has HPV. your chances of getting it from the first boy you sleep with now is 46%. Half of the girls are getting this from the first sexual partner. And why is it spread like that? The government says right here, scientific evidence is not enough to recommend condoms as the way to prevent HPV. But here's the deal. If I get married as a man with HPV, my wife is now 5 times as likely to get cervical cancer. This is when it's time for a guy to grow up and actually ask himself, is this about me? Is it all about just getting all the pleasure I can get and protecting myself? Or is it about learning how to deny myself certain pleasures so that I could protect with 100% certitude the future health of my wife and our kids who could get this stuff if I get exposed to this stuff years before I even meet them? To me, it's not even worth it. That's why abstinence tonight is a greater expression of love than making love, because you're doing what's best for your beloved and not just what feels good in the moment. The whole purpose behind it, the whole mission is love, not because sex is bad, and dirty, and evil, and wicked. And like, God created this gift. It's a gift from the Father. But if we will trust him with our bodies, then man, the blessings that he pours upon us is far beyond anything that we could grasp on our own if we don't trust the Father. And so if you want to live this out, guys, girls, what I would say is this, guys, girls, why don't you, here's an idea. You know, I know one girl got one of those purity rings as a sign of her commitment to this. Her fiance proposed to her. She took the ring off and gave it to him. She said, I saved that for you like I saved myself for you. He took the ring, accepted it, to the jeweler. She didn't know this. And he had the jeweler melt the silver of her ring into the gold of his wedding band. And that's what he wears on his ring finger as her husband. To realize, girls, there's something greater out there if you wait. So from this point on, girls, don't you dare be afraid that some boy's going to leave you if you don't give him something sexual. Girls, let the boys be afraid. They could lose you if they don't know how to respect you. And girls say, but Jason, there's no good guys. I'm never going to find a good guy. I'm just going to grow old, be alone, live in an apartment with 12 cats and be miserable for the rest of my life. And girls, just give up hope. Girls, don't give up hope. If you give up hope, you're giving up on love. And if you give up on love, you're giving up on yourself. Keep your standards high as heaven. And you know what? If you really want love, I'll tell you what you need right now. The body part you really need to work on is called your backbone. What does it look like? Perfect example. I read about a girl. She gets a text from some boy. Dude, he wants her to send him some revealing photograph of herself. And so he texts her. He's like, hey, why don't you send me a picture of yourself? And she's like, oh, okay, here, click the selfie of her face and send him that. He got the picture and he texts her back. He said, hey, I didn't mean a picture of your face. And she's like, okay, here we go. Click, took a selfie of her foot and sent him that picture instead. That is the girl who's going to find real love. So, you know, girls, if any guy ever asks you to send him a revealing photograph of yourself, ladies, I give you absolute permission to send him a picture of your completely bare hand waving goodbye to him, because that is as much flesh as he deserves to see. All right. A gentleman would never ask for those pictures or accept them and collect them and share them. That's not a gentleman. That's a collector of child porn. Girls, don't date these losers. And you know what? Don't even date a guy who hides behind his cell phone to ask you out to begin with. Because if he can't face the fear of rejection face to face, he probably won't even break up with you face to face. We just got to make relationships more human. Girls, help each other with it. Quit the gossip. You see that girl? She's just a slut because she did that. She's a hoax. I heard she did that. I saw it on Twitter, so I know it's true because it's retweeted. Sources are verified. Sluts don't exist. I meet 100,000 students a year, and I've never met a slut. And you may be thinking, well, then you haven't met this girl yet. Well, perhaps. But I'll tell you, I probably know her better than you do. You might know what she did with some boy a couple weeks ago. You know what happened to her when she was 11, though? Do you know what happened to her when she was 8? Do you know what's going on in her family right now? Trust me, you don't know. Take the labels off. Nobody is perfect. Guys, where do you go from here? I think guys can have different reactions to today's talk. First reaction, finish up the call and, you talk to your buddies. What'd you think of the talk? I don't know. What'd you think of the talk? I don't know. What'd you think of the talk? Because look, girls, in high school, we want to impress you, but at this time in life, we're just more interested in impressing the other guys. Because until a man knows he's a man, he's always trying to prove he is one. If I think degrading a girl makes me more of a man, well, I'll do it to score points with boys because I'm insecure. But what's needed with chastity is authenticity. You can't be some guy on Saturday night and a different guy on Sunday in church. You can't be one guy in front of her parents and then their backs are turned to become somebody else. It demands you have no duplicity. In New York, 3 basketball players came up to me. And I love basketball. I started talking. They're sleeping with all these girls. I said to him, how do you want some guy to treat your daughter one day? He said, oh, we ain't having daughters. We're just having sons. I'm like, why don't you want a daughter? And he was honest. He said, I know what I'm doing to girls. He said, I'd kill a guy if you ever did that to my girl one day. So that's the solution. Use girls and don't have a daughter? No. What's needed is authenticity. I saw it at a school. They're the best basketball team in the country. After the talk, the star of the team walked up. He's almost 7 feet tall. And he said, yo, can we talk in the back? I'm like, yes, come with me. And I took his hand and we went in the back. And I said, what's going on out there? He said, I've been with so many girls. I wanted it. She wanted it. Half the time I was drunk and I tried to blame it on the beer. He said, but after your talk today, it's different. I want to be faithful to my wife before I meet her. He said, but how do you start over when you've been where I've been? He said, when you're with the girl, she says she's ready for sex. How do you say no to that? I said, if she thinks she's ready for sex and she's not ready to be a mother, she has no clue what she's talking about. I mean, a 12-year-old came up to me once and said, Jason, my girlfriend, I've talked to her, ready. I'm like, ready? Are you ready to be a father? He said, no, just for sex. So after explaining to him the shocking connection they just discovered between the two, I said, you know, I've been married, got a couple of kids. You know, you don't know about me. Our first baby's had so many medical problems. He's had to be in all these different hospitals. You know, the first 2 years of being a new dad, I spent more than $30,000 in medical bills on him so I could have the best doctors taking care of my sick boy. And you got what it takes to be a good father. You ready for sex? He opened up his wallet and showed me his money. He's like, I have $5. I'm like, buy her pizza, okay? I mean, if you take her to Jollibee's or something, all right? I mean, if you love her, prove it, okay? Is it easy? No. But let's be honest. Guys, dude, let's just be honest. We cause 90% of our own temptations by what we look at and who we hang out with. And then we just blame it on the girls for why it's hard to be pure. You want to make it easy? Find good friends because you will always become like your friends. And only date a girl if you could see yourself marrying her one day. It's the whole point of dating. The whole point of dating is like to find us a wife. It's like getting on a freeway. Dating, it only has 2 exits, breakup and marriage. And if that's the reality, what's the point of committing to anybody unless you can see that relationship really going the distance? But in the end, you know what? You can try all the strategies in the world, but it comes down to this. Purity is a gift from Jesus Christ. And if you want it, he will give it to you. If you want that gift of purity, it is yours for the taking. Go to the sacrament of reconciliation. Some people are like, I'm not going to the priest. What if I tell him what I did? Dude, that's the point. It's not like you broke the 11th commandment for the very first time. Like he's going to call the Vatican afterwards. Pope Francis, I've never heard of this before. Dude, Pope Francis wouldn't care. He'd be like, no hablo inglés. Click. Just go, man. You feel so much better afterwards. And here's the problem. A bunch of you who have already been to confession, but I'll be honest, your confession stinks, okay? Your confession is, hey, Father, forgive me. I did this and this and this and this. Well, what about that over there? Yeah, we don't need to talk about that. That's kind of embarrassing. It happened a while ago. You just get rid of that other stuff. I'll hang on to this one. Some guy tried to do that in confession to Padre Pio. Saint Padre Pio could read your soul. So Padre Pio looks at the man and says to him, you know what? You live near water, but you don't wash. You know what? Go wash. Go made clean. Get made clean. You don't have to hold on to the guilt of any of that. I don't care how shameful it is. Just go get rid of it once and for all and be made new like the day that you were baptized. Go to confession and go often. Here's the bar for how often you have to go. I want you to go to confession at least as often as you wash your car once you get a car. If you are washing your car more frequently than your soul, I think something's a little bit off there. Go to confession and never leave the Mass. My wife and I try to go to Mass every single day. Every grace I need to love right from the Blessed Sacrament. Never leave the Mass. Third thing was huge for me was devotion to Our Lady, the Rosary. You look at porn, it takes 5 minutes to look at porn. Honestly, feels like it takes 15 years to forget what you saw. So for me, it was devotion to Our Lady that just taught me how to look at girls again. Pray a rosary every day. If you can't do that, just say the name of Mary as a prayer. She'll come through for you. And to help you live this out, we have created a podcast for you, a website for you. The website is just chastity.com. Our podcast is called Lust is Boring. And all you got to do is go to chastity.com. You can connect with us on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. You can connect with us through all that stuff. Maybe you go to a public school and they can't talk about God in your school. We have another website. It's called chastity.org. And at chastity.org, there is no religious content at all on that website. And so it could be used in schools where they're not allowed to talk about God, because that's a lot of the public schools out here. I don't know how it works in the Philippines, but the better site is the chastity.com one. Connect with us on the podcast, on social media, because you've got to keep filling yourself up with the message of what real love is supposed to look like. And I know today, I said a lot to you about future husband, future wife. Some of you are being called to a higher vocation, priesthood, in the religious life. Don't be afraid of those vocations. There's joy for you there. And some of you may be thinking, but Jason, your whole talk today is all boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. What about homosexuality? You know, hey, there's some of us on the call here today experience those attractions. I mean, how does all this even apply to us if those are the attractions that we feel? Look, if you experience homosexual attractions, the world is going to tell you, look, you only have two options in your life that you can pick from. Okay. Option number one is hide in the closet out of fear that if anyone knew you had those feelings, they'd hate you and be bigoted against you. Or if you don't want to live in the closet, then, and who would, well, come out of the closet. Embrace your sexual attractions as your identity. Forget about God, the church, and the Bible. Do what you want with your body. Gay pride, gay shame. What's your pick? Now imagine you feel stuck here. Well, I don't want to throw away God, but shame, do I really have to live in shame of something I never chose to begin with? I mean, will people hate you for having these feelings? Yeah, I'm sorry. Some people will. You see them on TV with their protest signs. They're like, God hates gays. I'm like, God hates your stupid sign. Okay, that's what he hates. But the problem is fanatics like that make everybody think that if you believe in traditional marriage, you're just a hateful, homophobic bigot. But that's not true. I was at the store buying a frame of a painting someone gave me of Pope John Paul II. I put the painting down. The guy looked at it and he's like, oh, Pope John Paul II. He said, I used to be a Catholic boy, but the church doesn't want me anymore. And I said, oh, what do you mean the church doesn't want you? And he opened up to me about homosexuality. I said, no, the church wants you. This is your home. God wants you. God loves you. I love you. He's like, what church do you go to? It was a great conversation. 2 weeks later, I came back and I said, hey, how you doing? He said, you remembered my name. I said, yeah, how you been? He said, you know, okay. We started talking. 10 minutes in the conversation, his eyes started turning red and a tear came down his cheek. And he said, can I hug you? I said, absolutely. Came around the counter. I gave him a big hug. My son, John Paul, was, I'm like, John Paul, give him a hug. My son's hugging his leg and I was hugging him. And I was driving home thinking, what was it in the conversation that hit him? And I think what it was is that I didn't tolerate him at all. I didn't tolerate him at all. I just loved him. I loved him enough to tell him the truth. Like, look, bud, your sexual attractions like mine are not our identities. If anyone in the world defines who you are by who you're attracted to, man, life is going to get confusing real fast. Because what would happen to me if I see some stunningly beautiful woman who's not my wife? And I'm attracted to a woman who's not my wife. Is that attraction my identity? No. If I see some like pornographic billboard and I think she's pretty, is that my identity? No. If you experience homosexual attractions, your identity is that you are a beloved son or daughter of God. But you're living in a culture that wants you to sexualize your identity like it's sexualizing everything else, sexualizing your cheeseburgers and deodorant, like everything's sexual now. It's ridiculous. I mean, even friendships are getting sexualized now. You ever notice like two guys hang out, people get suspicious. Are you guys hanging out a lot? You guys having a bromance? Like, no, we're having a masculine friendship. I've never heard of that before. Sounds suspicious. And to me, the big key is this: attractions are being over-sexualized. All over the world, students are coming to me and a girl will say something like this: Jason, I'm really confused because I think I'm straight, but my friends think I'm a lesbian. So I'm concluding I'm bisexual and I'm trying to figure it out. And I'll say, what's going on? And she'll say, well, the school I go to, the boys are really perverted and immature and gross, but there is a girl on my campus. I come alive in her presence and we can talk for hours on end, and she's beautiful and she's funny and smart. My friends are telling me this is a girl crush, so we should experiment. I don't know what to think. I said, look, you know what? I don't know if no one's just not told you this before. You're supposed to be repulsed by everything repulsive. You're supposed to be attracted to everything attractive. So your friend here, her wit, her charm, her beauty, doesn't that draw you to her? She said, it does. I said, look, I go to Bible study. There's an 85-year-old man in our class with this gigantic beard, and I'm completely attracted to that guy. I mean, his sense of humor, his joy. I just want to be around the guy. Because guess what? Not every human attraction is a sexual attraction. I'm telling you, this girl's eyes lit up. She said, I never thought about it like that before. That makes so much sense. Now, look, it isn't always that cut and dry. Some people do experience sexual attractions to members of the same sex. How does chastity apply to them? Don't take my word for this. You go to our website, chastity.com, click the button that says LGBT. Just watch the videos, read the blogs. They're all done by friends of mine who experience these attractions and have found joy in embracing the church's teachings on sex and chastity. But you can't take my word for it. You got to watch them share their stories. And I know today, I said a lot to you guys about boyfriend, girlfriend. But like I said at the top, most of you don't have one. That's great. My high school is 3,000 students or 1,000 students. I'm friends with 2 of them. My wife's high school is 3,000 students. Today, she knows none of them. Your life is going to go way beyond the walls of your school. That's why one girl told me, she said, Jason, you're right. You don't go to high school looking for a husband. She said, you go to high school to find your bridesmaids. I said, girl, you get the point to take your time. Now, last thing is this. If after hearing everything I just unloaded on you, maybe your heart's heavy, like you're like, oh man, I wish I heard this 3 years ago. All you need to know is one thing. It's how God looks at you for doing that stuff. And this is how he sees you. True story. Several years ago, this dad dropped off his kid at preschool in Armenia. And he said, I love you. I'll pick you up after school. Promise, come get you. Kissed the kid, went to work. Huge earthquake struck Armenia. The dad shoots the car back at the school, but it's too late. School's collapsed, faculty's dead. Dad shows up and he said, I know my son's in that school. Starts tearing off the rocks and glass. He dug for an hour, 5 hours. His knuckles are bleeding open. His back's cramped up. Dug for 10 hours. Like you guys watching on the call. You'd be fathers one day. You dig for kid forever. 30 hours. He said, all I could think is I dug for my boys, the promise I always made to him, which is no matter what happens, I'm always going to be there for you. 38 hours later, lifted up a board, and under that was the face of his son. And he looked down upon his son, and his son looked up to him and said, Papa. And his son turned to 14 kids trapped alive with him. And he said, see, I told you my daddy was coming to get me. I told you that he promised. This is the love of God, your father. It doesn't matter how far away you think he's been. He's always there, especially in confession, to welcome you home. So I hope you guys enjoyed that presentation. We're right at about an hour from, I think, when I got started. And I wanted to make sure to leave time for you guys to come up with questions that I can try to get through with all the time that we have remaining. Any questions on anything, on dating or relationships, or why are girls weird, or any questions on anything. Why does the church teach this about that? What about the church's teachings on gender and transgender stuff? What about this? What about any question? Everything is open season. I think they're going to take a little break for you guys to come up with some different questions. And then with the remainder of time, you'll submit those to them, and we'll get through as many as we can. So I'll turn it back over to the host now, take a little break, and then we'll be back soon with questions and answers.
Okay, so welcome back, guys. Hope you had a chance to have a sip of water, stretch out a bit in preparation for our open forum. So thank you again, Jason, for that talk. We have a few questions already sent in, and we have pretty good ones. Let me just read it real quick. Hang on. Here. So first, we have this question from someone who's asking for advice. What advice would you give to a teenage girl struggling with impurity or sexual sin, such as pornography, masturbation, etc.? And how can she overcome the shame in approaching God in the person of Christ? I think there is much more shame and difficulty when a woman struggling with this particular sin. How can she overcome that in order to receive healing?
Yeah, no, very good question. I mean, yeah, I think the reason why there's so much more shame and stigma associated with women struggling with this stuff is because there's this false cultural stereotype that's been perpetuated for centuries that, like, no, that's a guy problem. Girls, you shouldn't struggle with that stuff. That's a male thing. I know one girl who struggled with it, and she was totally distraught over it. She's like, I don't even sin in a feminine way. It's like, okay, these are unfair cultural stereotypes that lead girls to believe that, like, temptation is something only boys should be exposed to. And so what would really benefit you, if you go to our website, chastity.com, and if you were to go in the store, for example, we have a book by a woman named Kelsey Skoke that we published. It's called Uncompromising Purity. It's not just a guy problem. And a lot of the times when people present on chastity, it's like maybe from a guy's perspective, giving guys advice, but she kind of walks through like, hey, girls, we have different triggers. We have different temptations, whereas a guy, might be sexually tempted by this or that. For a lot of girls, maybe it's a movie scene, that sticks with us and, it gets stuck in our head. Or maybe it's a particular time of the month that we're more tempted than other times of the month. Or maybe I tend to want to go look at all that stuff when I'm stressed out and my relationships are bad in my family and I'm bored and I'm lonely and I'm angry and I'm stressed out. That's when I'm turning to pornography or to masturbation or this or that. And Kelsey does an awesome job of just walking through like, hey, girls have their own unique triggers. And so we need to be aware of where those places are where we might fall and how to set up realistic game plans of like, okay, next time, let's do things differently. Meaning, what's one concrete thing we can do? Well, if you have cell phones in a closed room in the dark, there's barely anything good that's going to come from that. And so what I would recommend is this: social media on your phones. Don't use social media while you're lying down. Give that a try. You can social media when you're standing up, fine, as long as it's okay to look at. Same thing as sitting down at your desk, whatever. But you'll notice that what ends up happening at bedtime, if you're using the social media, you start scrolling through Instagram Reels or Snapchat, TikTok, whatever, and just junk pops up. And then you start comparing yourself, because especially on Instagram, like, well, that girl's perfect hair and her perfect body and her perfect smile and her perfect boyfriend and her perfect life and her perfect vacation. And here I am lonely without a boyfriend and I have a pimple and this, that, like, and you just start comparing yourself to all these perfect airbrushed, filtered photos of everybody else. But trust me, if she did have a pimple, she wouldn't be like, hey, look at this on Instagram, everyone check it out. No. And so you don't, that's the root of so much inferiority, is these comparisons. And that drives you deeper into loneliness and isolation, because you think you're like the only lonely person in the galaxy. Then you start feeling sorry for yourself, and then you start thinking you deserve an outlet. Well, I've been a good girl and it's not like I'm actually doing this or that. I can do this a little bit. And so the devil tries to like just make you make all these little justifications for this stuff, and he promises you, oh, it's not that big of a deal. So the devil is like the comforter before you sin. The Holy Spirit is convicting you of sin before you sin. And then when you commit the sin, the devil jumps to the other side. So instead of comforting you, oh, it's not a big deal, da, 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 as soon as you sin, oh, that was a huge deal. You think God loves you anymore? You should be ashamed of yourself. You're filthy. And you call yourself Christian. You call yourself Catholic. It's like, whoa, how did he just do that? 1 minute, the evil one is just whispering to you how it's just not a big deal at all. And then as soon as you commit it, it's like the biggest deal in the world. But I need you girls to understand, whether it's pornography, whether it's, sexual activity, a lot of girls think that your value comes from your virginity. And if you lose your virginity, then you lose your value. Women, your value as a woman does not come from your virginity, okay? Your sexuality has value because of you. You are the gift. You still have yourself to give. And that's not to say that virginity isn't a wonderful, gift to be able to save for marriage. But for those who may have lost that gift, whether it's taken from you, realize you still have yourself to give. And so don't think, oh, it's too late. What good guy would want me anymore? Girls, if any good guy judges you by your past, he's not that good of a guy, all right? Hold out for a man who can see your future, not one who's always rubbing the past, your nose in it. You don't need that. And so if you've made mistakes, go to chastity.com. Obviously, go to confession, and just get it all off your heart. But go to chastity.com, check out that book, Uncompromising Purity. You can get it as an audio book, so you just listen to it on your phone. You could get it as an ebook, so you could just get it digitally right over to you in a moment's notice. Or you could just go into our section on the website on pornography and masturbation. It's right there on the homepage. It says, porn, etc. You click on that. And we've got blogs for girls. We've got podcasts. We did a whole podcast with Kelsey Scope talking about girls and masturbation and pornography, why this is not only a guy issue. On our website, we've got so much stuff. And I think if you spend some time watching those things, you'll realize, okay, guess what? You're not a freak of nature, okay? You are human. And God knows that sometimes we struggle, but he's with us in the battle, and he will give you the grace to be victorious over this. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, thanks so much for that, Jason. I listened to your podcast, Lust is Boring, and I invite all the young people here to subscribe to that podcast. Like what Jason mentioned, there are a lot of witnesses who have been there, they've done that, and they managed to overcome these challenges. So thanks for that question. And another one, as a teenager with friends who are Catholics, being friends in a Catholic school, who identify as LGBTQ+, and who prefer to have other pronouns other than he or him, and are even in same-sex relationships, how can they charitably speak to them about this matter being contrary to the gift of biological gender or sex, which God created?
Okay, well, very good question. I mean, obviously, the first thing I want to recognize is that these are two distinct issues. Sexual attractions is distinct from gender. A lot of people conflate the two and think, oh, well, you think you're a girl, but you must be homosexual. No. These are distinct things. I mean, sometimes there's some overlap, but we need to treat them separately. And so whether your friend experiences transgender inclinations or same-sex attractions, the first thing is to let them know that you love them and live that out on a day-to-day basis. And because you want to perplex them. And what I mean by that is a lot of them think that they have to pin their dignity on our acceptance of their behavior. But you give them dignity, you recognize they have dignity, and you love them, even though you might not agree with what they believe, and that you still love them. I mean, I have friends, I have family members who experience same-sex attractions, and some listen to the church's teachings and some completely don't, but they know that I love them. So that's the most important thing, that the world will tell you, well, you either accept these people or you are abandoning them. So are you going to be some transphobic, hate-monging, homophobic bigot, or will you accept these people? What are you going to do? Is it acceptance or abandonment? What's missing from this whole dialogue is there's something called accompaniment. There's something called accompaniment that you can walk with these people in love. And it doesn't mean that you need to endorse everything they think or feel or believe in order to be friends. The world needs to be a bigger place. I mean, we've got to realize there's space in the world for people who have different opinions. And if they kind of push back on you, one thing I'd recommend is you could say, look, we necessarily don't believe the same stuff and all this, but you know what? I hope that you don't reject me because of my beliefs on this stuff, because I don't reject you and I still value your friendship, and I hope that you still value mine as well. And what you've done here is you just kind of kick the ball back into their court. Like, if you want to be, you don't need to say this, but intolerant and bigoted and not inclusive, then you don't need to be friends with me. That's fine. I accept that. You're not using those words. You're just basically saying, like, I hope that you'll choose to accept me, but if you don't, I understand that. And I respect that. Then it's on them. Okay, am I going to basically ban this person as my friend and cancel them because they don't believe everything I believe on these things? Or is the world a big enough place to be friends with people who don't necessarily agree with all these things? When it comes to terms of using their pronouns, I would say no. Why would I say no? Not to use their preferred pronouns? Because if you love somebody, you can't lie to them. And if you're using a pronoun that does not reflect reality, you are not, what you're doing is you're actually collaborating with a mental illness, because this person who may be male thinks that, he identifies as female. He is not female. And there is nothing that he could possibly do in his life to become female. He could have all the gender affirmation surgeries in the world, but all you have to do is take one hair out of his head, give it to a forensic scientist, and they'll say, that is a biological male. You could dig up his bones 1,000 years from now, and a paleontologist could look at it and say that is a male. And he might even say, okay, fine, I'll agree with you. Like, I am biologically male. I can't change that reality because you can't. I mean, every cell in the human body that has a nucleus is sexed, which means in order to change your sex, you'd have to change every cell in the human body. They've found more than 1,500 sex-specific genes. Like, your esophagus is male or female. Your arteries are male or female. Like, it's down to the bones, it's down to the soul. You can't just change that with some reconstructive surgery. And what's happening is people are being told from grade school, well, look, if you think that you might be a boy trapped in a girl's body or vice versa, then you're trans and you should change your pronouns. You should change the way you dress. You can change your name. And then you can go through puberty blockers. You can get cross-sex hormones. And after the cross-sex hormones, then you can get a gender affirmation procedure. And then you'll finally feel at home in your own body. Here's the problem. People who go through that process and get the surgery have a suicide rate 19 times higher than the general population. And people will say, well, that's just because they're not being accepted, for their trans identity. No, that's because 90% of people who commit suicide have a diagnosable mental health disorder. And oftentimes what's going on with gender dysphoria is a coexisting comorbidities, which are high functioning autism is often going on, depression, anxiety, a history of sexual abuse, family trauma, all kinds of stuff. And these kids are going through all this anxiety and stress. And so they might not have a lot of friends at school. And then they get on Tumblr and they get on Reddit and Instagram and YouTube. And all of a sudden they get immersed in this world of this theoretical headspace of what it means to be human. And then they come out, well, maybe this is my gender, or maybe it's that one. Facebook offers its users 58 genders. Facebook in the United Kingdom is at 71. Tumblr has more than 500. What is going on? What's going on is if you untether your gender identity from your anatomy, then your gender identity needs to latch onto something different. What will it attach to? It attaches to the personality. But here's the problem. Every person has a personality. There's 8 billion persons. And so if our gender identity latches onto our personality, then all of a sudden gender becomes relatively meaningless quite quickly. That's why you look at the 500 genders on Tumblr. And if you were to point these things out to an individual who experiences gender dysphoria, you're not hating them. You're loving them enough to tell them the truth, that the problem is not your body. God created your body good. And I understand that you might not feel at home in it, but maybe the answer isn't cross-sex hormones and a double mastectomy. Maybe the answer is to take a deep dive into why don't I feel at home in my own body? And can that get addressed with love and concern? Because it's so sad to see, like, if you get on the website GoFundMe.com, where people can donate to your different special projects and charities. There's girls on GoFundMe right now that want to have radical double mastectomies. They're both of their breasts cut off because they think that they're boys, and they want to raise money to pay for their $10,000 surgeries. How many women are doing this right now and girls on GoFundMe? 40,000 of them right now, 40,000. But what's happening is these girls are getting mastectomies as early as 12 years old in California, or at 16 or 18 or 25. But then 10 years later, they're coming back and they're screaming at the doctors and they're filing lawsuits and they're getting on YouTube and they're called detransitioners. And now they're screaming from the rooftops to be heard. Young people, please don't do this. Mutilating your body will not heal the issues that are going on in your mind, in your heart. And so we need to make sure that we are not collaborating with mental illness. We're actually treating it. And so these individuals deserve compassion, they deserve respect, and they deserve love. Because if we think that some gender is no longer, it's divorced from our body, I am telling you, it will be absolute chaos. And this is what we're already seeing over in England. If you're a man who gets arrested, you can declare I'm female and they'll transfer you into the women's prisons. And now these transgender individuals are sexually assaulting women in the prisons. One guy, this happened, he got put in prison. He said, I'm a girl. They said, okay, they put him in the girl prison. And he said, no, I'm gender fluid. I'm a man again. They're like, all right. So they put him back into the male prison. They said, you know what? I identify as female now. And they're like, what on earth are we supposed to do right now? And so it's not only happening in that, it's happening in mixed martial arts where guys who identify as female are literally breaking. One guy, Fallon Fox, broke the skull of a girl in mixed martial arts, shattered her orbital bone in her face, and he identifies as a woman, and he's just overpowering these girls and winning all these competitions. I mean, if you want to look at what's going on in sports, there's actually a website called boysversuswomen.com. That's BOYSVS women.com. What they do is they take high school boys against Olympic female athletes and see how they compare. And it's just chart after chart after chart. The greatest world record female Olympians in the world could not even qualify to beat these high school boys in their track and field events. It's not because men are better than girls, it's that we're different than women. And this idea that we can be the same by just like taking some hormone blockers or puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, this isn't reality. This is not living in reality. And so love these individuals, care for them, and do your research, do your homework. Go to our website, chastity.com/gender. You can type that in, chastity.com/gender, and you're going to find a lot more content than I just gave you on why the church's teachings on this are rooted in science and truth about the fullness of the human person. Because for all eternity, we will be male and female, not the 71 different genders on Facebook and YouTube and all that other stuff that we're learning. The generation of detransitioners is going to come right now. They're on the way, and they're going to shout from the rooftops and hopefully bring some clarity to all the confusion that's happening right now. So if you have someone in your life that experiences things, love them, but you be the one voice in their life that will tell them the truth. Because too many people will go along with, hey, if you think you're trans, you're trans. Then they're going to come back when they're 24 years old and they don't have breasts anymore, and they don't even have a uterus anymore because maybe they have that removed. And then they realize, what did I do? Because at 15, I never thought I would want to breastfeed a baby or have kids. I just wanted to get out of my body because as a teenage girl, it was overwhelming, the pressure to be female. And I thought that I could have escaped into masculinity, that would be some retreat. But what have I done? And so love these people and love them enough to tell them the truth. So long answer, but it's a really important topic.
Thanks so much, Jason. So I think truth is compassion at the end of the day. It's important to understand that if we tell the truth, we're actually loving people as well. Jason, I'd just like to tell you there are hundreds of questions in the chat box, but we don't have as much time as we would want to have with you. But maybe for the parents and educators who are in the call, there's a question here about how can they accompany teens and young adults who are hooked with pornography and masturbation. You know, since the lockdown started, the statistics have shown that this has really increased, especially when people are in isolation. So how can young people themselves who are experiencing this on a daily basis, even some people are struggling with that, and how can adults also and teachers and parents help these young people?
Yeah, no, very good question. I do want to make one last note on the gender thing that popped into my mind, and to try to think of it in these terms that, overly rigid gender stereotypes, you know what they do? Rigid gender stereotypes try to get people to conform their personality to match their body, right? So your body is male, therefore you need to be into shooting guns and trucks and all this stuff. So gender stereotypes try to conform a person's personality to match their body. Gender theory does the opposite thing. Gender theory, what that does is try to get a person's body to conform to their personality. Meaning if your personality is this, then we need to conform your body to fit your personality. Neither one of these approaches is the healthy thing, because what a woman is a person with a female body and any personality, not a person with a female personality and any body. So now on to the question that you had asked, how do we help the young people struggling with pornography? We need to look at it from a number of different perspectives. One, we need to look at it, they say the opposite of sobriety is not, or the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's human connection. And so one of the reasons why so many young people and older people are struggling with pornography, this intense isolation, this lack of community. And as a result, we're created for love and intimacy and connection. And if I'm not having it in my real life, I've got to find it virtually somewhere. And so parents, you need to become computer literate. I mean, dude, you might not even know how to open an email attachment. Your kid is like hacking into the government's website for fun. Okay. Like parents, you got to catch up. And so how do you do that? If you go to our website, chastity.com/parents, we have a resource page there for you. And we recommend a couple things. One is called Covenant Eyes. It will give you a screen-based accountability filter for your computer so it can block the porn off the computer and send you as a parent a report every day of all the websites everybody's looking at. The problem is kids are smart. They're like, oh, you'll block the internet? I'll just watch porn on Instagram. I'll just watch porn on YouTube. You as parents should have the passwords to all their social media accounts. You should know what those things are. Thankfully, Covenant Eyes will still catch those things, even if they appear on an app. It can take a screenshot and send that to you. But we need to have the software like Covenant Eyes. But ultimately, you need the relationship with your teen, because they say rules without a relationship creates rebellion. And so the foundation of internet safety is not software or getting a good router or modem, whatever. It's the relationship. We just did a podcast 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, on internet safety for parents. So if you go to our podcast, it's at chastity.com, hit the button podcast, watch the one I did with Chris McKenna. He's an expert in internet safety, and he gives a bunch of just fantastic tips for parents to have safety there. In terms of the resources for the teens, if you go to our website, chastity.com/porn, we've got stuff just on pornography and how to break free. And the top thing that we would recommend is if you're a guy struggling with it, Matt Fradd and I came out with this book called Forged. And what this is a 33-day program. It's not a huge book. It's a 33-day program on how to break free from pornography. And so every day is a different strategy, a different weapon that you can use, because it's not just a spiritual thing, and it is, and we need to pray. It's also a psychological one. It's also a physiological one. It's an emotional one. We've got to tackle this from a fully human perspective. So we can discover, okay, what are my triggers? Is it when I'm bored or lonely or angry or stressed out or tired? Well, maybe there's some legitimate unmet needs there that need to get taken care of. I just got an email from a college guy who's been struggling with pornography for years. And he said, I finally had this breakthrough. I realized I don't have a porn problem. I have an unloved problem. The porn is a symptom of the deeper issue of just the fact that he really does not believe that he is lovable. And for the moment he gets online and it feels like somebody actually wants him and desires him, he said, I know it's fake, but like, at least I kind of feel wanted when I don't even want myself. And so now he's getting down to the roots of this stuff. Like, why am I looking at pornography? Do I want to be seen? Or do I don't just want to see? Do I want to humiliate women? Like what need am I tapping into that's giving me this false consolation through porn? And until that deeper need is getting really addressed, then it's like cutting the leaves off of a weed in a garden. You have to go down to the root system to really find deeper healing. And so the book Forged is the one we did for guys. Uncompromising Purity is the one that we did for girls. I really recommend get this stuff for the kids. Go through it. Fathers and sons go through it together. Boys, if you're in a youth group or an all boys school, do this program together. You get a video that will text you every single day, we'll email to you a new video. It's only 5 minutes long each. It'll walk you through the whole program so you can find freedom. Because you know what, guys? You can do this. Not only can you do this, you have to do this. What is the alternative? Like, do you really want to be like some porn addicted 45-year-old guy? Like, no, thank you. So when are we going to win the battle? Start winning it today. Because I tell you, your body will do whatever you want it to do as soon as you tell it to do it when it comes to pornography. It really will. Like, if you're looking at porn and you're sitting there, like, let's say you're at the school and you're in the library, no one's around, and you're kind of stressed out. You had a long day. You think you need a little break, and you start scrolling around, looking at some bad stuff. And then you look out of the corner of your eye, and this girl is walking towards you, and you have had your eye on her all school year long, and you've always wanted to get to meet her and make that first impression, and she is about to walk by and see what is on your phone. Do you know how easily you'd be able to be like, oh, I'm back to studying pediatric neurology. What just happened there? How did you spontaneously lose interest in like half-naked supermodels? Well, it's because the presence of authentic femininity drives out effeminacy in a man. What effeminacy is in a man, Thomas Aquinas says it's when a man refuses to let go of what's pleasurable to do what is difficult and good. And so if we don't know how to say to know what's pleasurable, to do what is right and what is good, we become very effeminate. Not feminine, but we're just emasculated. But when we're around a real woman, we want to be the real man, which means your body will do what you tell it to. And so if you have that stronger desire of authentic love, you can overcome the superficial desire merely to lust. And so go to the website, chastity.com/porn. Got a lot of content there on Breaking Free, and chastity.com/parents for resources for moms, dads, and educators.
Thank you so much, Jason. That's very helpful. Thank you to all our participants who also sent in their questions. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for this morning. We thank you for joining us, whether on Facebook or Zoom. But before we have our selfie with Jason, as I announced earlier, I would just like to remind all those who wish to claim their certificates for the conference to click on the link in the chat box. This is for the faculty members, and for the students, your certificates will be available next week. The link will be sent in the Facebook group section. And for all the students who are here, who are required from, like for school to attend this talk, please make sure you make your presence felt in the Facebook group or here in Zoom. We will take note of attendance and share it with your teachers. For those who would like to join our Zoom selfie with Jason, please switch on your camera so we can document our first ever online Re-Love Revolution conference. And just a friendly tip, if you wish to be right next to Jason in our Zoom selfie, yes, that is possible. You may want to pin your video so you're right next to our VIP guest this morning. So Jason, we have a whole lot of young people who are so eager to document this event. So I hope you don't mind if you smile for like several seconds just to
that's fine. And I'm sorry I couldn't get to all your questions, but please go to the website where we literally have hundreds of questions answered right there. And so I get 95% of the questions you wanted to ask, we've already answered on the website at chastity.com.